Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Sunday. And we're going to start reading a passage from the book Happy Life by the Spirit Jonah de Angelis. Make sure that pessimism and rebelliousness do not find shelter in your heart, numbing or frazzling your nerves. Reconsider unpleasant attitudes and events, taking heart and continue on your journey in peace. Your spiritual state has everything to do with the outcome of your aspirations and actions. When you begin a task with antagonistic feelings or resistance, you have already lost. Bring the warmth of hope and optimism to all you do, and success will be inevitable. Wow, that's very strong. Mm-hmm. So we can have to be careful not to find shelter in our hearts of any type of pessimism, otherwise already failing on our endeavors. Yeah, those are very powerful words. Okay, with this message in mind, let's open up our hearts and our minds, being present here to receive all the teachings from the Gospel of Jesus, all his teachings, so he can help us in our path on earth and succeed in what we came here to do. Being grateful for all the support and all our mentors and spiritual guides, protectors that are here with us this morning. We ask Jesus' blessings to our meeting. So be it.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you very much for the prayers, and the reading was perfect as well in getting us started. On the topic today, I have a rather challenging for me topic today, which says one of the challenges I think when we study Spiritism and when we study Christianity in general, I think, is that people complain about Christianity. Well, the essence of Christianity, right? So not necessarily the Christianity we have today, but that there's a lot of suffering involved in Christianity. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of effort, self-sacrifice, all those things. And people say, well, why do I need them? This sounds so negative. Why can't we have an easy way? Why things cannot be easy? And some branches of Christianity kind of embrace that. It made it a lot easier, right, to do things. But if you go to the core essence of Christianity, the way it started, just the way it started. So who is the model of Christianity? Jesus. So nobody envy Jesus, especially the last days on earth, on the flesh, right? And if you go back into the history of Christianity, the first 200 years, which were the essence, what we call primitive Christianity, right? And if you look back in what happened to them, right, that was not easy as well. So most or many of the early Christians end up being either sacrificed, either murder, or had tremendous sort of political upheaval upon them that they had to deal with. So it was a lot of suffering and a lot of pain. And when we think about those things, kind of, especially nowadays, where our lives are much easier, right? Compared to the life people endured 2,000 years ago, widespread slavery, resources were very limited. Leadership, I mean, only the elites had, a good life or a comfortable life, right? Today, things are much better, right? So we have a great level of comfort to most people, especially us. I mean, I talk about us living in America today. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now, America is an amazing place to live in terms of resources and comfort we have in our lives, and available to a large number of people. Not everybody, right? But still, it's an amazing place to be. So why Christianity is so complicated, and so why there's so much about talking about suffering and endurance and self-sacrifice? Why is that? And that's my point to you. I'm going to try to make a point to you that, unfortunately, for our spiritual growth, when we think about us as not just the flesh, but us as beings that are here as part of an experience, things might start to make sense, right? First of all, the essence, everything we talk about here hinges in one pillar. One pillar. What we say, and we think that soon science will say the same thing, right? Is that we, fundamentally, every single one of us, is not the body. We are not our organs, we're not our brain, we're not the flesh. When we look in the mirror, we're not looking at ourselves, we're looking at our clothes. The same way we try clothes, we are now in a body that will last a very limited amount of time. So we're talking about what is 100 years, right, for someone that can live forever. What is 100 years? I was talking to my older one is doing some science class right now, and he was abysmal by the time humans have been on Earth, for how long Earth has been around. So humans, Earth about 5 billion years old, and humans, as we know, modern humans have been around for less than a million years, right? So we have been here for just a tiny fraction of the time of this planet has been around, right? And the scales kind of become, this is one of the amazing things of studying science. Science is the scales of the universe, right? How old the universe is, how big the universe is, and how, and what if we put that perspective on ourselves and saying that, okay, we are also travelers. We're not the body. We are the spirit. We are the soul. This mind we have right now is a manifestation not of our brains, but the brains are just an organ that manifests why we are in the body. But it's not the cause. So the mind lives by itself, is independent. That is the fundamental key. If this is true, if you agree with me, if you find this point right now reasonable, and you connect with this idea, here we go. Then let's go unpack this. Of course, if you believe you are just the body, just the flesh, then doesn't make sense, because then, of course, you have to put all your efforts in this body. Everything that's happening to you right now is the only one shot you have for everything. And then your life becomes really, really, I mean, if you happen to have difficulties in life, right, if things don't work the way you want, they become unbearable. Because that's the only time, right? If your body's not the way you want, if your family's not the way you want, if your job is not the way you want, if you're not as smart as you want, this is your only time. That's it. I myself, honestly, I get depressed just by thinking about that. If this is all I was, this expression, this body was everything I was. And I think the majority of people know deep into their consciousness that that's not true. Although we hardly have a hard time articulating it. That's why religion is so popular, because one way or another, religions, at the core, they talk about a life that transcends the body. In different ways, different depths, but all of them, in a way, bring that. That is reality, I think, right, that we talk about. So now, if we transition to this perspective where we're truly spirits now, this is a life that we're going through, right, that won't end with the body and didn't start with the body, right? Why the heck are we here? why God made us go through a process where we're going to be born, and we're all born babies. We're born with limited abilities. We have to be taken care of for how many years? Some people are babies for, until they're well, who knows? No, there's no limit for how long we can be a baby, right? And then we have to go to endure this passage on a body that might not be healthy, right? And we might eventually, all of us will go through the process of dying, where our bodies will stop functioning. Why are we here then? Why God is doing this to us? Why we need to be here? And that's a question that we should explore. We shouldn't shy away from this. At some point in time, every single one of us will have this question. At some point in time, we will stop and say, why am I here? If this is true, that I'm a soul, I'm a spirit, and I'm not going to die, and I was alive before my body was formed, at some point in time in our lives, we will stop and ask, why am I here? And that's a very important question to have, because the answer comes from you. The answer will come from every single one of us, and will be, to a certain degree, unique to the experience you have, to the experience every single one of us has to go through. Apparently, what happened to us, beings of Earth, the vast majority of us, we are not mature enough. We're not a planet of mature spirits or mature beings. I think it's safe to say that. If you just look into our society and we look at the things we do to each other, how we treat each other, although we improved a lot of our problems are caused by the interactions we have with one another, by the way we see one another, by the way we perceive one another, in our direct competition for silly stuff. So the question becomes that the vast majority of us probably need this experience in the flesh because we have not matured our minds yet. We're not mature. And the level of maturity we have will vary according to which stage we are. But one fundamental teaching is going to be applied to all of us. The need to live with others. The need to live with others. So no matter where you are right now on earth, no matter what your experience is, part of your experience is to learn to be balanced and in a sort of constructive way with other people. Very difficult for you to be alone. And especially now with 8 billion people on earth, it's very difficult for us to be alone. The message, the experience we're going through right now is an experience that's fundamentally guided to allow us to live together, to be together with other people, and to learn to transform those experiences in better ones. Why? Because there's no choice. We are in a family. We are in a community. We are in a work environment. We are in companies. We are in societies. And whatever you do, you won't be able to escape that as long as you're in the body. That's the core lesson of today's life, right? And when we endure that, when we accept that, when we just connect and click that is the core of the teaching, it probably will make it easier for us to start seeing the reason why we're here. Because the reason why we're here has to do with people and ourselves. The core of the lesson is this, right? And what's the recommendation of the gospel? So the gospel is saying, what is the core of Christianity? What is the major commandment of Christianity, right? The core of Christianity is very simple, only one command. Very simple to understand, right? Love God above all things, but that's transcendent. But love thy neighbor as yourself. Love thy neighbor as yourself means love every single one that surrounds you, everyone around you, as you love yourself, because you also have to love yourself. That's the commandment. That's what the gospel says. That's the recipe to achieve happiness, to transcend and have an amazing life. Very few even engage with that. We're still in the early stages of compassion. We're still developing compassion. The vast majority of us struggles to have compassion to the person that's next to us. But it's a first step, right? But understand that the goal of Christianity is to develop love, that incredible emotion that connects us to each other and makes us do the best we can for others. That's incredibly deep emotion that we struggle to develop. And the vast majority of us are struggling to develop those emotions. And here's the key. Why Christianity involves so much self-sacrifice and so much pain? Because in a place like Earth, full of immature spirits, loving is unfortunately almost always connected to pain and suffering. Because when you love someone, when you have the ability to love a person, right? We want the best for them. And whatever happened to them that's bad and sad and painful hurts us too. Hurts. So the people that are doing the best in our society, those that are learning to love, will always endure pain, because those they love eventually will suffer. And many may not be even awakened yet, might be even slightly mature towards understanding this. So that's why Christianity comes as a support. True Christianity gives you the support to endure the suffering that almost inevitably comes from a loving heart living on a place where a lot of immature spirits, and including ourselves, by the way, sometimes the suffering comes from our own immaturity inside of us. Even though we chose love, we begin the journey. But because we have a lot of immaturity on ourselves, we still suffer for things that we shouldn't a lot. So we have the same problem. We're all mature in the same way. But you understand that that's why the gospel and Christianity, in a way, primitive Christianity and Spiritism, because it's an expression of that, is not the easy way. We don't talk about the easy way. Yes, we want an easy life, and many people get very depressed when the easy life is not the goal. We don't think it is possible to have a loving heart manifesting on earth without dealing with a little bit of suffering, a little bit of pain, just by interacting with the surroundings what we have right now. And that is fine. That's okay. Because the more we love, the more we want the best for the people around us. We want them to be in the best situation. The more we're going to be building the strength to respect them, to respect their choices, and having the strength to even accept the decisions that were not ideal, that were taken as well. And that's what God gives to us as well. I always, every time I have a situation where I see people that I love, or like, still it's a struggle to have this manifestation of love, right? But we see them making poor decisions. What's the first reaction of us? Frustration. And every time I do that and I talk to my mentor, the thoughts come exactly what I do to God. Every time I see somebody making a silly mistake, right, that you see, like, prepare or do this, look, don't you see that what's going to happen? If you're a little bit mature, you know that if you're in a car 100 miles per hour and there's no brakes, right? If you don't have brakes on your car, what do you think is going to happen? Do you need to wait until the wall comes through? It will come. If you're in a car without a brakes, 100 miles per hour, you know what's going to happen. It's just a question of time, right? Same thing. And then every time I get frustrated with that, and I seek deep strength myself, I see my mentor points out that look at the things you do. And, she always points the same thing I do in different problems, maybe more complex ones, maybe more difficult, maybe more intricate, maybe things and it's always I see that we are all brothers and sisters. We are all maybe in slightly different levels when you compare to spiritual maturity, right? We can see maybe somebody that we think might be immature, but we're not that different. What changes are the nuances, the experience we're having. Some are having more dysfunctional experiences, others have more functional, but still operating at a different level. Maybe we're not doing even close to what we could be doing, touching the universe. So everybody is very close. In the great scale of things, most of us, the population of Earth, we're a very similar level. And that's why Spiritism, as the manifestation of the primitive Christianity, the whole goal is to give us the strength, the information we need to withstand the life, that might bring us some pain when we decide to trace the path of love. And that's it for today. Hopefully I gave you some arguments and why sometimes it's so difficult to even read the text, the books, and see so much mentions about the selflessness and pain, and understand where it comes from. It comes from because when we engage in that journey on Earth, unfortunately, that's pretty much a guarantee to be a part of your experience. And with that in mind, we're asking, hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead of you, and we say goodbye from our friends online. Hope to see you soon.